Rain had fallen for 7 days. The trenches of the Somme were rivers of mud and blood. Private Elias Hartmann, a young German sniper barely 20, peered through the fog-streaked scope of his Mauser. Across no man's land, the British lines shimmered in the mist like ghosts. He hated the silence between shell fire, that moment when he could hear the wind move over corpses half buried in the mud. War had stripped everything human away from him, until one morning, through his fogged scope, he saw her. A British field nurse, tending to a wounded soldier who had crawled too close to the wire. She was unarmed, her hands trembling but steady as she bandaged a man who would not live. Elias lowered his rifle. For reasons he could never name, he couldn't pull the trigger. He simply watched her disappear back into the mist. That night, while his comrades laughed over stolen brandy, he sat silently, haunted by a face he'd only seen through a scope. Days later, the same woman returned. The battlefield was quiet, too quiet. Elias saw her again through his scope, dragging a stretcher through the ruins to reach another fallen man. He whispered, "Why are you still here?" though she could never hear him. Each time she appeared, he adjusted his aim not to shoot but to guard her. He began sketching her face in his pocket notebook, the one he used to mark enemy positions. Now, every page carried her image. One evening, during a rare ceasefire, a stray wind blew a leaflet across no man's land, a Red Cross notice written in English. He couldn't read it, but on the back was handwriting, a name, Clara Reed. Elias folded it carefully and hid it near his heart. For the first time since the war began, he prayed not for victory, but for mourning just to see her again. Christmas 1916. The guns fell silent. Soldiers from both sides hesitated, then slowly rose from the trenches unarmed. Elias climbed over the wire, boots sinking into the cold mud. He saw her, Clara Reed, carrying supplies from the British line. Their eyes met truly for the first time. "Don't," she whispered when he took a step closer. "They'll shoot us both." "I know," he said softly, "but I had to know your name was real." They met only for seconds, exchanging nothing but a look, a trembling smile, and a tiny white flower she had pinned to her coat. Then the officers' whistles blew. The war's rhythm returned. Back in his trench, Elias placed the crushed flower inside his notebook. The world roared again, but somewhere inside him, something had changed forever. Weeks later, Elias was wounded during a counterattack. While recovering, he wrote a letter in broken English. To Clara Reed, "I am not your enemy. I have seen kindness in you greater than any army." He sealed it and bribed a prisoner to deliver it across the lines. Days passed, no reply. Then, during a bombardment, a medic brought him a blood-stained envelope. Inside was a small note. "I received your letter. I will look for you when this is over. See." Tears blurred the words, but fate would never let that promise breathe. Clara's field hospital was destroyed days later. Her name appeared on a casualty list pinned to a trench post. Elias stared at it until dawn, the paper dissolving in the rain. 1918, the war ended. Elias returned to a world that didn't know what he had lost. He lived quietly near the Rhine, working as a watchmaker, time ticking like the echo of distant shells. Every spring, he visited the old battlefield, now green again. He carried her letter and placed wildflowers where he had first seen her through the scope. "You once healed the enemy," he whispered. "Now I heal time." As years passed, he grew old. When he died in 1952, his notebook was found beside his bed, filled with sketches of Clara Reed and one line beneath them all: "Love is the only war worth losing."